don't pay attention to that. It's, we'll just keep it like this so you can barely see it. But so this is what I had to write my notes on, or my bullet points and stuff. So this is what we're going to go off of. Real quick, if you guys are joining us for the first time, this is day 3 of the 30-day jumpstart. We'll be going live for the next 27 days, and we'll be going live for the next 27 days to teach you how to fit hack your life. We're going to talk about optimizing performance, your health, fitness, anything that's going to help you be optimized, whether it's going to be sleep. We're going to talk about some super awesome topics coming up. And even today we're going to talk about the art of breathing. But if you guys are new, make sure to head over to FitHacker.com and get your free 5-day jumpstart. Just click on the free 5-day jumpstart tab, and it will take you over there. It's an awesome 5-day jumpstart that I made for you guys. Very cool, very compact. It'll take you right to a membership site. And while you're signing up for that, you'll get a chance to check out my CMT training app. Now it's 6 workouts for $6. And it's absolutely amazing. I do CMT training, which stands for Constant Muscle Tension Training, and it gets rid of the worry for injury. Now you could possibly still get injured, but get away from heavy weights, avoid injury, and I teach you how to actually use your muscles. It's amazing. It's great stuff. I love weight training, so that's where my expertise is at. But I can help everybody. I can help anybody with anything. I absolutely love anything in the health world. Weight training is just where my heart lies, and so that's what this training is about. So anybody who signs up to try out the app will get entered into a drawing, and they will get a chance to win a 12-week FitHacker coaching program from me. So this has to do with, so over the next 30 days, all of this stuff that we're going to talk about is all of the stuff that I take into account when I make a program and what I put people through, okay? So it's not just here, eat this, train this way, I charge you money. No, it does not work like that, okay? I want to teach you how to understand and how to take control of your body, so that way you have results for the rest of your life and you don't need anyone after me, okay? Does that make sense? Awesome. So that's what the coaching the 12-week coaching program is all about. It's super awesome. If you guys are interested, just hit me up, or there's lots of ways to talk about it. But back to the winning that. So someone will win that, whoever tries out the trial, and after these 30 days, I will pick one winner and I will give that to them absolutely free. Okay, awesome. So let's get right into it. Breathing is a new topic for me. So if I did have my little note cards, I would have lots of them today because it is very new. I only started practicing breathing techniques in November, so just a few months, but what it has done for me is so much. So I wanted to tell you guys about it and what I've noticed for me before we start diving into all of the other awesome things that we're going to talk to, because breathing is very important. So I want you guys to think about this, or at least have this in your thoughts, when we talk about training, when we talk about sleep, when we talk about anything else that has to do with life, okay, even just life. So breathing's absolutely amazing. We all need it. It can change your life, it can change your performance, change your mindset, and change your ability to focus. And this is crazy. Breathing can actually even change the chemistry inside of our body. It's absolutely wild, I know. And sometime I will do, as I learn more, I will do another one on breathing, and I will have more cited research for you guys. Like I said, I'm just getting in it, just understanding it, just getting my body to understand it. So it's absolutely amazing. There is so many types of breathing practices, right? So if you would go on Google right now and type in types of breathing or types of breathing practices or breathing practices, there's so many that pop up. And what I noticed is that a lot of them have to do with one thing, and it's called your cadence. Okay, so it's an aspect of breathing. Is one aspect of breathing is called your cadence. Now, this is how deep or how fast or how slow you breathe. Okay, So a lot of these things that are online, these other types of breathing, now they're still very interesting. I mean, I would say to still read them, look into them, understand them. But a lot of them are the same. It's just different lengths of cadence. Okay, so it's how am I inhaling all the way? Am I holding? Am I exhaling? What time frame am I exhaling in? So let's say I'm doing 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 seconds out, 4 second hold. Okay, so that's just a technique in a style of cadence. Okay, so but there's so many, and I would recommend that you guys start doing something because breathing's amazing. All right, so we'll get into it a little bit more here. The breathing that I have chose is more of for a physical state and a mental state. Okay, I am doing this to increase a high level of cognitive function, which it has shown to do, and increase a high level of physical performance, which it has shown to do. Okay, now all of this is growing in popularity so much. A lot of the people that I look up to and that I mentor are really getting into it. So because they're learning this is the next step in performance. So back when I started first hearing about it, started getting into it, bought a couple books, read them, okay, started doing techniques and things like that. And then I started listening more. And now I'm realizing like, wow, all of these big time players are doing this. So this is gaining popularity. And it's already in some sports or, some trainers in they're teaching this, but not very many. But soon you will see that everybody that's an athlete will be optimized in breathing. So in 3 to 5 years, you watch, this is going to be everywhere. So it's definitely gaining in popularity. It's going to be awesome. It's just one more thing to gain control over your body. So let's hit the 3 aspects of breathing. So the first one is biomechanics. Okay, this is how we breathe. Now, we're actually supposed to breathe through our nose using our diaphragm, right? So our diaphragm moves up and down, inside, and it's chest breathing, right? Not abdominal breathing. A lot of us are belly breathers, and that's okay. But we also want good form when we breathe. Just like we want good form when we work out, we want good form when we breathe. So we don't want to be, we don't want to be rocking, raising our shoulders, our abdominal going in and out like crazy. We want our diaphragm to move and our chest cavity, right? That's what it's supposed to do. But a lot of us have gotten lazy. Not just lazy, we just didn't know this information, so we started belly breathing and mouth breathing. And that's where we are. And that's okay. So second thing is biochemistry. This is looking at the oxygen and the carbon dioxide in our blood, so the ratios of it and everything like that, how much we're expelling and of both of those. So and then we have cadence, how deep, how fast, and how slow we are breathing. Okay. Now I'm learning a lot. Everything that I've read has everything teaches a little bit about our CO2 tolerance. Okay. So what is our CO2 tolerance? Our carbon dioxide tolerance. This is the amount that is in our blood. Okay, so our CO2, the amount of CO2 that's in our blood is how our body reacts to it. Okay, so they used to think that at 55%, anything lower than 55%, you would die. But now they're seeing that they're doing testing and things like that, that in just an average person, no training or anything like that, they can actually get them a lot lower. And they're very conscious. It's just they're doing this directly to see what happens and learn and research and stuff like that, right? So it's actually blowing the top off of this stuff. It's wild. So it's basically everything that science thought about the human body, about not being able to live with with less than 55% in your blood. And here they are, they're doing this, they're showing this, and people are going into it, and they're still very, like, they're not in a bad state. They're just doing this. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this because I don't know enough about it, so I'm not telling anybody to do anything like this. But it's pretty crazy, and it's really, really, really exciting because they're learning so much about the human body. That's why science and technology is so amazing, but yet it's so horrible for us, right? Because look at social media and our phones, and people staring at their phones all day, and kids staring at it. So that's going to be a good one coming up, talking about blue light and EMFs, which are electromagnetic frequencies. But all right, I'm not going to get on that. So our CO2 tolerance, it's how our body reacts to the amount that's in our blood. Now, almost everything that you're trying to achieve, whether it's on a physical level or on a mental level, has to do with, or oxygen plays a huge role in that, right? I mean, we all would imagine that oxygen plays a huge role in that. So if you want to be calm, if you want to sleep better, if you want to increase your CO2 tolerance, okay, so the goal is to increase our CO2 tolerance because it helps with being calm, sleeping better, and helps control our anxiety and our high sympathetic arousal. So do you guys know what sympathetic and parasympathetic means? Okay, so we have an autonomic nervous system, right? So we have a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic, this is how I remember it. Sympathetic means S for stress, right? So anything that stresses you out, it's going to arouse that sympathetic nervous system, and it's going to give you that fight or flight response, right? And that's not good. That's not good to be in all the time, right? Excuse me. So that's not good to be in. And parasympathetic is exactly the opposite. It calms us down, relaxes us, and this is our nervous system we're talking about. So I don't know how much you guys know about the nervous system, the muscular system, and things like that, but that's for another day. But this, sorry, let me get back on track here. So this, with a bad CO2 tolerance, it will increase our sympathetic arousal system. Okay, so we'll have high sympathetic arousal. Now, what this means is that if we have a high sympathetic arousal, that means our respiratory rate is going to increase. Okay, now, why is it that if you look back hundreds of years, maybe even thousands, if someone wanted to be better, yoga was always the answer, right? So isn't it crazy that long ago, yoga's been around forever, right? We all know that. I don't know exactly how long, but it's the oldest form of breathing technique in existence. At least that's what I know, okay? Or what I know of. And this means that all the way back then, they knew that practicing breath work while you're controlling your body helps you maximize the use of oxygen. So that is so crazy. And to this day, yoga is still so amazing. And we're actually going to have a day on yoga. But this is absolutely crazy. Okay? So CO2 plays a role in how oxygen is dispersed through our system. Now, any medical practitioner or anybody who has taken a dive or has taken a dive into exercise science should have heard this before, right? So carbon dioxide helps oxygen disperse through our system. So if you have poor CO2 tolerance and you're stressed, so it really doesn't even matter what type of stress that you have. If you're stressed, which 90% of the population is, right? We all have this anxiety thing going on and this stress thing going on that we need to learn how to manage. It lowers our ability to tolerate CO2 even more, okay? So, which increases our respiratory rate, which means that we're going to be breathing more. So that means we're going to be blowing off more carbon dioxide, which means oxygen is not going to be used efficiently. Does that make sense? I think it does. So the best thing that we want to do, especially if we're training or some type of athlete or exercising for something, we want to learn how to control that in a better way, So how we do this is what changed my life. Okay, we're going to start nasal breathing. Okay, we're all mouth breathers now, and I don't know why, but it's funny because when you learn, you look back and you're like, oh my goodness, I was doing this forever. We're just going to close our mouth and start nasal breathing. Okay, this is awesome, and this is actually going to tell us a lot about how fit we think we are. Okay, so if we have a bad CO2 tolerance, that means we are not fit like we think, right? We want to increase our breathing abilities and our control over our body. So this is going to help really scale our aerobic efficiency, and this is great. This is awesome. So when do we want to mouth breathe? Okay, so just like in diet and nutrition, right, the 80-20 rule, there's an 80-20 here. So 80% of the time we want to be nasal breathing, and 20% of the time our intensity should be high enough that it elicits a response from the body for you to open your mouth. Okay? Now, at first when you start nasal breathing, like when I started nasal breathing, and I was, at first I did it on a treadmill, okay? So I'm just walking normally. And next thing you know, I feel like I'm starting to choke and I'm nasal breathing. And my heart rate's not very high, right? Because that's because I had such a poor CO2 tolerance that my body started to freak out and say, oh my God, you're gonna die. You need to open your mouth and take a big breath right now. But I'm watching my heart rate, and I mean, I wasn't wearing a chest strap, but I have my Fitbit here, and it's pretty accurate. But I know my heart rate wasn't very high, and I know I'm not gonna die. So I just pushed through, right? And I was just walking, but it was scary, but all I had to do if I needed to was open my mouth to breathe. So I'm safe. And I pushed through, and after just a few minutes, my respiratory rate came down. So I was breathing less, and then my heart rate fell a little bit. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. Now, mind you, you can't talk and nasal breathe at the same time. So I wasn't talking, and I was just walking. So I increased it so my heart rate would come up a little bit. And I didn't have the same response as I did the first time, but I felt like I could go at that higher heart rate, at that higher speed for infinity. Like I felt like it was no problem. I was just rolling, and it was awesome. Okay, so I lost my spot here. So the disadvantage of mouth breathing is that it requires more carbohydrates, because that means if your body elicits a response for you to open your mouth to breathe, that means your heart rate's high enough and you're going to be in an anaerobic state. Okay, do you guys know what aerobic and anaerobic means? So you have an aerobic threshold and an anaerobic threshold. Okay, so this is based off of where your heart rate is and obviously your fitness level. But for the most part, aerobic means that you are burning more calories from fat than anything else in your body. And that's where most of us want to be. Okay, so once we cross over into the anaerobic threshold, that means we're burning more calories, but we're burning it from all over our body's tissue, organs, muscles, everything like that. So we're burning energy. We're taking energy from all of those systems. So yes, if you're in competition, obviously you need to open your mouth and you need to breathe, right? Because there's definitely benefits to it too. But for the most part, we want to be nasal breathing, especially while we're training, because it's going to help us take control over our bodies and our breathing. All right, so hopefully you guys have a little bit on aerobic and anaerobic. We're going to get into that on a day. I did want to plan a whole day for that, but we will see. All right, so back to nasal breathing. Now, once you start to nasal breathe, it's going to do a few awesome things. Now, it takes time, right? Nothing is magical. There's no magic pill. There's no magic thing. But it's going to help lower your resting heart rate. Okay, so that's a good thing. And even it's been shown that in as little as 4 weeks, it can increase more REM and more deep sleep. Okay, and deep REM is great sleep, and I've noticed for myself that if I don't have good deep sleep, about an hour and 30 minutes or more of deep sleep, I am not myself. I feel terrible. I'm tired. And even if I have 8-10 hours of sleep, but I do not get an hour and a half or more of deep sleep, that is where our body rejuvenates and rebuilds. Okay, most of it anyway, and that's where I feel I need to be, right? So if I'm not at that hour and a half or more, I wake up and I'm still me, right? I'm still happy, I'm still excited, but I'm just like, whew, something is wrong today. So that's how important sleep is. And like I said, we're going to have a day on sleep too, and dive more into that. But just breathing, okay, just breathing. Nasal breathing can actually help balance your pH in your body as well. So that's how it can change the chemistry in your body. So more mouth breathing means you're in more, that means if you're mouth breathing, that means you're in more of an aerobic or anaerobic state. So your body is more acidic. So if you're nasal breathing, it's more aerobic. So therefore, it balances your pH and all kinds of amazing things, right? All right. So the biggest thing that I learned from reading all of this and taking some courses on breathing is that this is where I started, and I think it's a very good place for you guys to start. While I'm working out, okay, I like to work out with intensity because I'm not a fan of doing just cardio for hours because I don't want to. Now, I eat a lot, so I like to do cardio and I love to work out, but I want to balance it. So I want a high heart rate while I'm working out. So I do a lot of supersets and anything I can do to keep my heart rate up the entire time. So that means my heart rate's up. I try to keep it between 110 to 130. 130 is pretty high for me. So 110 is like my norm. And I try to do nasal breathing the entire time while I'm there. Now, when I started this, I started to count how, like while I'm doing this and my heart rate's at 110, how long can I stay here while breathing normal breaths? So I was counting how many seconds it took me to breathe in and breathe out together. Okay, so if you can breathe in and breathe out within 5 seconds through your nose, then that means you're in a great place and you can push even harder. Okay, so if you drop to 4, okay, that's pretty good. Your heart rate should elevate even more, but you can still push, right? You can still push. You can still keep going. If you're getting faster than that, you might have to open your mouth. That's on you guys in your fitness level. But that was a good place for me to start, was the 5 seconds. And it really helped me out and really gained control. So I guess I did jump too far ahead. I never explained how we can practice to get better breathing before we go out and do anything. Excuse me. So I guess I'll back up and I'll talk a little bit more about the biomechanics of breathing and how we can practice it before we go to the gym or some type of exercise, right? So if you can sit cross-legged, that's great. Unfortunately, I can't. I don't know if it's because I'm so tall, but I am very flexible. I love to stretch. I'm really flexible for 6'3", but you can lay down on your back, put your knees up in the air, and what you're going to do is you're going to knees not too high, right? Knees are going to be up, and you're going to actually just pinch your glutes a little bit. You're going to activate the glutes, and you're going to draw your belly button in and down. Okay, does that make sense? That means basically your back is just going to be flat on the floor. Okay, so for anybody who's sitting cross-legged, you just want to make sure you're upright and your thoracic spine is extended. Now, I've noticed with nasal breathing, some people do have their chin down. Some people have their chin like neutral, so it's just them looking straight forward. But I've never seen anybody doing nasal breathing that they're looking up or anything like that. So while we're there, understand how this all works, we're going to grab our lower rib cage. So you have your pelvic bone here, and then you have this soft spot, right? And then right up above it is where your ribs start. So right there, you're going to grab onto that, and you're laying down, right? You're laying down. Pretend I'm laying down. I'm holding on to my lower ribs, and now I'm talking, obviously, so I'm a little bit out of breath. I'm going to breathe in as deep as I can, okay? Now, when I breathe in, now slow, not as fast as you can, just breathe in, and what we can do is 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Now, remember, that's called the cadence. So we can hold on here, and we can breathe 5 seconds in. And what we want to do is we want to feel our rib cage expanding, okay? We don't want to belly breathe. And like I said earlier, we don't want our shoulders to come up, and we don't want to be doing weird things, okay? We want to breathe with our diaphragm and feeling our rib cage expand, okay? This is how we're supposed to breathe. So we're going to do 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. And you're going to control that breath, okay? Now, this is a great place to start. If you guys look into this at all, there's ways that you can go around and increase your performance. I like to go there. If anything, the longer you take to exhale helps improve your CO2 tolerance, okay? Now, while you're laying down, this is an awesome time to meditate. I can't remember if I said that earlier, but if you're breathing, you're focused on your breath and you're blocking out the world. You're just focusing on the numbers in your breath and feeling it in your lungs, maybe feeling the tip of your nose or the center of your belly. And this is a wonderful time to let some thoughts run through your head, or just focus on that and just be in bliss. Okay? Awesome time to do this. Now, I've read a ton of books and have been on a ton of websites about breathing, listened to a ton of podcasts and all kinds of information, and every one of them has helped me get where I am. But no affiliation whatsoever to anything that I mention here. But the most stuff that I've learned, that I've learned, is from a website called powerspeedendurance.com. It seems to be that they're just more interactive, and they take, obviously, if I'm reading a book, in a book that was written 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, it can't agree with you and overcome challenges, right? So they have a lot of FAQs, they answer a lot of stuff, and you can always reach out to them. Plus, they have a CO2 tolerance test that you can take. It's free. It's awesome. It'll help you guys gain that CO2 tolerance, or increase your CO2 tolerance, which will help with everything. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed this talk today on the art of breathing. It wasn't as long as I wanted it to be, but the other ones are going to be more, everything else is going to be more in depth because I know it more, right? I've been researching it for years. This is new to me, like I said, but I want you guys to take into consideration all of these things moving forward. So when we talk about training, when we talk about yoga, when we talk about the different styles of training and cardiovascular training, I want you guys to remember this a little bit, so that way you can take it into consideration if you like some of those things and you're going to start doing them, right? Because breathing is number one. We got to do it all day, every day for the rest of our lives, hopefully a long time. And so I hope it was good enough for you guys. I had a lot of fun doing it. So thanks so much for coming to day 3. Don't forget to grab your free 5-day jumpstart at FitHacker.com. And don't forget to, we're on Instagram. Well, I am on Instagram at _FitHacker_. But this is live on Facebook at FitHackers and my personal page, and live on YouTube. If you want to look us up, is at FitHacker, or it's the name FitHacker. And if you guys have any comments or questions, please type them in. I will answer them accordingly. Obviously not live, but as soon as I'm done on here, I will answer them, and or I will answer them on a day that we're going to be talking about whatever you guys have questions about. So hope you guys loved it. Looking forward to seeing you guys for the rest of the 27 days at 2 p.m. every day. We're going live for the next 27 days, total 30 days. And I'm so excited for you guys to become the best version of yourself. All right, guys, we will see you later.